Hey everyone, so we have some more notes today. In this section, it's not really a part of the book, but it's something that we need to know before we actually get started on the next idea in geometry. And this is congruence in triangles. And remember, congruence also. Whenever you hear congruence, think equal. Okay, so basically going to talk about triangles that are equal. Okay, and the first thing we have is this definition or description of congruent figures. So this is corresponding sides that are matching or in the same position, and corresponding angles are congruent. So whenever you have two equal figures, in our case triangles, the sides that correspond to each other and the angles that correspond to each other are congruent or equal. Okay, and I'm gonna mark this up and show you how congruent figures look and what we need for them to be congruent. Okay, so let's say here we have this angle, angle A, and then angle M is congruent. Okay, and then we have angle O, and then angle C, those are congruent. And then we have angle B, and then angle N. Those three angles are congruent, and those are corresponding angles. Those are the angles that are in the same position. Imagine if you took this triangle and just flipped it over. It's kind of hard to see, but if you look up here, if you just took it and flipped it over like that, it would match up. Okay, I know it looks a little off, but that's just because I hand drew it. Imagine they're the same. Okay, and then we also have the sides. The corresponding sides are congruent. You can say this side AC is congruent to MO, and then ON is congruent to CB. Right, and then the third side, AB, is congruent to MN. So these are two congruent figures. The three corresponding angles are congruent, and then the three corresponding sides are congruent. Okay. And then a congruent statement, that is just a statement, like a math statement, declaring that two triangles or two figures. Here I wrote polygons, I think that's the word they use in the book. It's just declaring two objects are congruent. And again, in our case, we're going to deal a lot with triangles, so I should have just put triangles here. Same thing with this, congruent triangles. But this is true for any figure or any polygon. But if I wrote a congruent statement for this one, it would look like this. Triangle. And then I like to write these in order of the angle measures, and not necessarily alphabetical order, but see how this angle has one mark, and then over here I have two marks, and this I have three marks. So instead of writing triangle ABC, I would write ACB. Triangle ACB is congruent to triangle. And then again, look for the angle. Let me move my head. Uh-oh. Oh, dang it. How do I get out of that? Give me a minute. Let me just close it. There it goes. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm back. So again, this second triangle, I would go in order from the angle marks. This one has one angle mark. This one has two, and that one has three. So it's not necessarily in alphabetical order like I talked about in the last video, but more it's which angle matches up with which angle. Okay, angle A and M match up, so those should be in the first position. Angle C and O match up, so I put those in the second position, and then angle B end-to-end match up, so that's in the third position. Okay, you have to put them in the same position in the triangle name because they're corresponding, right? So let's move on. So hopefully you got that, and that wasn't too confusing. I know there wasn't much there, but let's go to this next section, the examples, and then again let me. Oh man, I keep messing this up. Give me a second. Okay, so for these examples, hopefully you're copying that. For these examples, just find the following. And I have two triangles there. It says first, write a congruence statement. And then this right here is a congruence statement. So first you want to say one triangle is congruent to another. So I'm going to first write a triangle congruence statement. So take the triangle on the left, and this one mark, 2 marks, 3 marks. Triangle ABC is congruent to triangle, and then again 1 mark, 2 mark, 3 marks, RST, and here we got lucky because it is in alphabetical order. And then angle congruent statements. So here I'm going to write what 3 pairs of angles are congruent. Okay, first angle A is congruent to angle R. Angle A is congruent to angle R. And then angle B is congruent to angle S. And I know that based on the marks. This one has 2 marks, this one has 2 marks. Angle B is congruent to angle S. And then the last angle is C and T. Angle C is congruent to angle T. And then the side congruent statements, again, that's just saying which sides pretty much are matching up to each other, or which sides are congruent based on the markings that are on my triangle. So again, first you have this one. I always go in order for 1 mark, 2 mark, 3 marks. So this is AB. Side AB is congruent to this side, which would be RS. That's 1 pair, and there should be 3 pairs because there's 3 sides on one triangle, 3 sides on the other triangle. Match them up. And then the next side over here that has 2 marks, that's BC, and that side is congruent to this side, which is ST. And then finally down here, this one has the 3 marks, AC, and that would be congruent to this one over here, which is RT. And that's it for this one. Again, it's just based on the markings. What you guys are going to have to do, based on these markings, what you're going to have to do is write a congruent statement, or tell which angles are congruent to each other, and or tell which sides are congruent to each other. Okay, let's do some practice.